Hi guys, this is Franco from my IT and cybersecurity journey. Today we will be going over scenario 2, the config switchboard. So welcome to configuration management in Kubernetes. This is scenario 2 in your roadmap of getting CKAD certified. So here's the scenario. Your company runs the same web application in both staging and production environments, but each needs different configurations, database hosts, log levels, feature flags. You need to master both config map injection patterns, environment variables, and volume mounts. This is a fundamental skill for separating configuration from code, managing multi-environment deployments, avoiding hard-coded values in container images, because we want everything to be dynamic. And that is so that it is easier to make changes on the fly in case something were to change, and if it's not changed immediately, it could cause issues in production. Here's the exam relevance, and so there is two injection patterns. It's from mfrom and volume mounts. So let's go ahead and try both. Before we start, quick tip I can give is there's also a third, but I guess it's part of one. When you mount config maps as environment variables, you can also specify the environment variable name. I repeat, this is super important for your exam, and you will more than likely come across it. You will have questions that might ask you to just inject the environment variables and have them be named after the config map keys, or you might have to specify the environment variable yourself and then just pull the key value from the config map / or secret. Let's start. Alright, so in the staging namespace, create a config map named app-config with these. So again, going back to the previous video, you can create it imperatively using kcreate, and we are going to do the short name, which is CM. If we do -h, it'll give us a list of options. What we're going to be using is from literal, because we can just specify it. So we're going to go ahead and start. It's going to be called app-config, and I accidentally clicked on that. For this scenario, I am just going to specify the namespace here because I'm dealing with multiple namespaces, so it would actually save me time rather than writing out the long cube config set context command. And so this is going to be for the staging namespace. And from literal, the way you specify this, as you see up there in the help command, the help output is going to be the key. So our key for the first one is going to be db host, and it's going to be equal to staging-db.internal. So that's that. If we do k get cm-n staging, a little bit of lag there, we can see our app config is ready. But I actually need to delete it because I was not done. -n staging. Whoops. So that's deleted. So let's go back, pull up the command. And so then to add more, we have to do the from literal again. So the next one is going to be log level is equal to debug. And then we're going to do another one, which is going to be feature dark mode is equal to true. And so that is our config map for staging. Now if we run kget cm -n staging app-config.show.yaml, we can see here that our config map is created and with our key value pairs. And so for the production namespace, we're going to do the same. So we're going to do k. Let me click on this here again. K create cm, and we're going to do the it's called app-config as well. -n in production namespace. And we're going to do from -literal. And so the first one is going to be the same. From -literal. It's going to be the same. Log level equals warn. Oh, actually, it's different. It's not debug. And then from -literal equal to feature dark mode. I want the feature to be dark, man. So it's going to be like that. And so now if we do k get all Yeah, kget all cm. I believe it's like that. No, kget cm dash all. We can see here that in our production namespace we have the app config, and in our staging namespace we have the app config config maps we just created. And then so just to verify ourselves, we can do kget, or actually did it. Just can do this. Production, and just to verify our key value pairs, that is good to go. And now we can check. Ignore this step because this will be removed when I upload the video for you guys. But step 2, inject config map as environment variables. We can do this using environment from, and so you would want to look at the documentation. So if you forget, what you can do is define, I believe it's called environment variables. You'll find it here. Define environment variables for a container, blah, 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 blah. You can copy it here. And so you can also go to like the config map documentation, excuse me. And if you go here, tip, you can still use kind, but actually specify pod to see the pod examples. And so you can see here what they're doing. Environment. So this is different because what they're doing here is, so they're showing a couple things here. Here, this is what I was talking about earlier. This is important for the exam because what you can do if you just wanted is you don't actually have to specify like the name. You can just do like environment from config map and put the name of the config map, and it'll put all the key value pairs in the config map as environment variables on the container level. But what they're doing here, which again, it matters that you read the questions because there is a difference. What they're asking here is, hey, let's name this the player initial lives variable, and the value is going to come from the config map, and the name of the config map is game-demo, and the key in that config map where we're going to pull the value is this, and so it'll pull that value. And doing the same here, and down here they're also mounting it. I haven't used this too much, the way they mount this items part, but this config map mount, yes, this is important because this you will probably come across something like this where you mount the config map as a volume and you name it, and then you go ahead and mount that volume and specify the mount path. So you will probably come across that for like, for example, like an index.html file on a pod running an Nginx container, so that it displays that as like the HTML for the when you curl that pod. But what this is asking for is we're going to go ahead and get started with the pod. So we're going to do k-run, and so it's going to be called web app staging, and it is going to be in the staging namespace, and the image is going to be Nginx 1.24. And so it's asking to inject the entire app config map as environment variables using mfrom with config map ref. So what we can do is we can actually just go here, we can do mfrom, and we can see how it looks. It's just mfrom the config map ref as an array, because in case you have multiple config maps. So you can see that when you come back. Let me just run this so I don't lose my command. If you run k-explain and you do cm.spec, excuse me, not cm, pods.spec.containers.m from, oh man, what am I doing wrong? Pod spec containers m from. What did I do wrong? Pods.spec.containers. Env? Oops. I think it's just env from. I think it's like that. Yeah, sorry. So we can see here, anytime you see double brackets like that, that means that you have to specify an array, because you can specify multiples of that item. So it has to be with an array, and the way you do that with YAML is with a tac at the beginning. So like you could do like tac config map ref. I'm attaching my config map, and then you could do another one, config map ref, and the name of this one is, let's just say like hello, and you could attach multiple config maps that way. But what we're going to do for now is we're going to create this declaratively because we have to add it. I don't recall if I can just like specify it here when I run the pod. So we're just going to do it declaratively, which is we're going to spit this out to a file. So we're just going to verify again web app staging in the staging namespace with the image nginx. Yep. And again, dry run equal to client dash -l and web app dash staging dash pod dot YAML. And so again, we're going to add the m from under the container, right? So m from, and then so it is config map ref, so it's an array. You can do it like this, config map ref. And then the name of that config map, again, what was the name of that config map? It is app-config. So then we're going to run create-f web app staging. And so for the exam, you should always be verifying your work. So what you can do is run the kexec command. So you can run kexec. You can also describe the pod, but I like running kexec, and I'll just put the pod name. So where's it at? Oh, I'm not in the namespace, but I would do kexec web app dash staging dash pod dash n staging. And then you can specify a command by doing this. You can do print env. Let me switch to it. I don't feel like right here. Oh, it's web app staging. Whoops. And so what we can do is run this. Print env. You can also grep after that, but I just did it like that. And if we look here, we have our config map injected values for that pod. So that's good to go. I believe it was just that one. Take a while. Okay, here's the second pod. So now we're going to create a pod called web app dash prod. We're going to do the same thing, dash n production. And so dash image nginx 1.24, and we're going to mount it again. So dry run equals to client. I could have just also copied the other one, but I like showing you guys the commands so you can get a feel for it. And then, we're just going to do prod-pod.yaml. And we're going to do the same thing at on the container level. Environment variables are going to come from the config map ref. It's not key ref, just a config map ref. And so, here's our array, and so the name of this is going to be this is going to be a volume. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So when you mount volumes, you always do it at the pod level. So pod level is under spec. So what we are going to do is we're going to run volumes. And so to see all options for a volume recursively, we're just going to run kexplain pods.spec.volumes -- recursive just to kind of see what we have to do here. And it is a lot, like we can see here. Really, we're just looking for, we just want to grep for a config, because we're just looking for a config map. So it looks to be under the pod spec, we're going to do config map. And so just do that, right? So we can do here, we can go config map. And there is some of the things we can do. Config map volume source. So let's go ahead and get on with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to create the volume. It doesn't ask us to name it, so we can name it whatever we want. And we are going to mount it at the etc app config directory. So let's go ahead and do that. So volumes, and again, like I stated earlier, you can always come here as well and just look at the pod YAML, because it might be quicker just to copy and paste it. Let me go up. I believe it's the first one. All right, volumes. So again, under volumes, it's an array. So we're going to specify the name of the volume. This can be whatever, the config map, and then the name of the config map. All right. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna call it cm-vol, and then looking at the configuration again, config map, and then the name. And the name of that config map is app-config. Okay, and oops, I almost forgot to mount it. So then, at the container level, what you will do under the container is you will specify volume mounts. And so the way you specify volume mounts here, again, it's an array. So the name of the volume, so we can see here the name of this volume was foo. So the name of the volume mount, we're going to mount the volume foo at this path. And we don't have to specify this here. So let's go ahead and add that. The name of this one is cm-vol, and then the mount path, which is going to be at etc app-config. Then we can just run create-f prod-pod.yaml. And so to just verify that our environment variables are there, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do kget pod k-exec web app -prod -n production -- and we're going to do ls/etc/app-config/ and we can see that. And so if we were to cat one of those files, for example, it would have the value. That's how that works. It kind of creates a file with the value inside. So the file will be named after the key, and it'll contain the value. Set process. It's giving me permissions in that because I didn't set the permissions, but it doesn't matter. So we can leave that like that. So yeah, it gives you reasons why you might want to do that. Just verify your work. It's going to take a while. Cool. And that is it. You can go ahead and read through what you learned, tips for the exam. Thank you so much for watching. This was scenario 2, and I'll see you guys on the next one.